So thanks to be here. It's not usual to have different professional associations for e-commerce gathered in an event, so thanks for this kind of exclusivity. And thanks, Julien-Henri, to be the representative for the e-commerce players that are in the room, and perhaps you will have some remarks or questions and perhaps some answers regarding some questions that perhaps the audience have regarding the user experience. So first question regarding the e-commerce system, what kind of new user experience trends do you note on your markets?
Okay. In Austria, we mainly see the mobile devices way more than 50% already. So it's a little bit more than we heard on the presentation before. We see voice commerce is getting more and more recognizable. And that's huge, especially as we see the integration of Amazon Alexa in more and more car manufacturers like BMW or Mini. And I think those devices will outpace smartphone devices very, very soon.
Eva?
Yeah, I agree. So in Germany it's the same. So so voice control is getting really very popular in Germany, and so we will see what's to come.
James?
Yeah, voice is changing everything, and one of the things that we find interesting is how you have to adjust your search engine optimization, because people ask questions differently by voice rather than keyboard. But I mean, we've done some interesting research recently just about going back to basics, and it's incredible how what a difference it makes. You know, to have a big green go add to basket button on its own line with space around it. You know, just basics like that. You know, a floating basket so people can always see in vision what they've actually got in the basket. Simple things like this, but they make a colossal difference.
And Julien-Henri?
I don't know if it's new trends, but what I see in France currently is not mainly vocal. It's maybe more in Australia, in the US, even if it's quite booming. What I see currently a lot of is artificial intelligence, being more engaged, and personalization with the clients, with the customers is very something that clients really needs and is something that they want. A lot of things are to do with mobile, and when I say mobile, not just the device, but everything that it includes, it involves within the organization. You have to be more and more organized in workforce or task force. What I see, more and more people are getting missions instead of just having a position. We see also a lot of things on chatbots in France, but it's mainly for customer care. And what I see in France, it's getting a KPI that is being very, very popular, I guess. Technology should only be a tool and not a strategy, and emotion should be the goal. Emotion is a real KPI in customer engagement and personalization.
Yes, so for a lot of people it's still a sort of myth, vocal, artificial intelligence. So in reality, how are retail and e-commerce players adapting their services to respond to this new demand or new trend of demands of their clients in terms of UX? How to adapt your website or your different services regarding this new opportunity in terms of technology, but new usage as well?
What I see is what is very popular is what we call APIization of the market. That involves that your own properties, your website, your mobile application, and so on, may not be in the future the Graal, the destination for your customer. So you have to collaborate with the GAFA. It's always problematic, especially with Amazon, with an e-commerce player. What I see also is that, artificial intelligence is really something that I've implemented at Bazarchic.
Okay.
And it's very deep on what it's involved within the organization, because it's really changing the way people are working, what they were used to do, and data that we didn't talk about. Becoming a data-driven company, a customer-centric company, and a mobile-first company, if you will, is the thing that I've been working on for more than 4 years. Mobile is done. It's been 8 years, Bazarchic, that we are doing mobile, so we are quite mature about that subject. Data, it's been more than 3 years, so I guess we're quite mature, but now it's a question of organization. And about chatbots, and in reality, I think that what is getting and arriving, that what I see is that maybe the way that people will search, will engage with brands may be different. We'll see also a lot of things as a brand content also is a very deep impact on how you have to personalize and to have rich content on your homepage per se. I think that people with a chatbot or with vocal might want to interact differently. And for example, maybe the future of my homepage would be to do the same as did Google 15 years ago, if you compare Yahoo and Google. And maybe if I'm being very disruptive and provocative, my homepage maybe sometimes will be just a search bar, or just a vocal or a chatbot. What do you want? Do you want dressed? Do you want a glass of wine? What do you want? Instead of just pulling everything to the customer and just the customer, I want that. Maybe the engagement will be quite different. That's what I see. And the last thing is what we see, that people want their product or every time faster and faster. So the last mile, the last kilometer in logistics is becoming very strategic, and there's a lot to do. So people want the right user experience, the right product, of course, the right price, and want it fast and good at home. And you have to manage all of that to be able to do brand preference, and people will be engaged. So that's a huge work that I'm trying to do, and my best.
Okay, as a professional association, what kind of advice do you provide to your members to adapt their product, their services to this new age of the relationship with customer? Do you have some recommendation, for example?
So I think when it comes to chatbots, it's very important, at least right now, to inform the customer about that he's talking with a chatbot, because as chatbots are not that well developed already, it's kind of difficult. So when a customer just asks a question and the chatbot is not able to answer in a proper way, then maybe the customer feels screwed. So it's very important before a customer starts chatting with a chatbot to inform him about that, and if he's okay with that.
There are lots of ways to get really embarrassed and get it wrong and screw up with these things. But you know, when you're looking at the kind of scale that big sites are getting now, it can't be managed by human response. Mm-hmm. It's about being relevant. I mean, there are some really good things out there. I know MasterCard has got an app out there where you can ask it, how much did I spend in restaurants in June, and it will give you the answer. You know, stuff like that that's very relevant and personal is the way to go, if you can.
Yeah. And Stephan, what?
From my perspective, I have a different point of view, because I think most of the chatbots that are currently installed at company websites are crap. They don't work properly, and it's because of the lack of artificial intelligence. And I think the chatbots that are currently used are the first steps. We are completely at day one. And this topic, chatbot, it will evolve within the next 2-3 years at least. And as we see the artificial intelligence grow and the technology will be even better, more APIs will be capable of being introduced in this whole ecosystem. From my perspective, just wait, give the chatbots 1 or 2 years to evolve and really get good, and not to piss off some clients as it's currently happening. We had one event last year, the ecommerce day, where we introduced the first live chatbot at an airline. It was the Austrian Airlines chatbot. It was huge, it was big, but it never really worked. And people were complaining since day 2, and it was embarrassing.
That's why I use the word myth.
To me, if I may, it's not a myth, but I guess, if I may say, e-commerce or digital professionals sometimes are lazy. When you want to implement a chatbot, you have to ask about the values of your brand. And the topic of today is customer experience. If you don't have a proper customer experience, you're not a brand. If you are a brand, you have to ask very deeply, what are my values? What are the emotions? Do I have the chatbot that will be a male or a female? Does it have sympathy, empathy? If I insult him, what kind of content should I have? Should I have a GIF animation, a video, YouTube video? Should I say, should I blush and everything? So you have to ask and do a real hard and profound work on that. And my understanding that, because I'm working on that currently, that a lot of brands want just to surf on a new topic, on a trend, and they don't understand maybe, because they're not quite enough mature, of the enormity of what it is, and they are disrupting their own brands by putting a chatbot live, and they should understand that they are directly connected with their customers, prospects and everything. So they really need to do that properly if they want it to grow, and if they want it to grow properly and to be something that is profitable, it's just not something that you can do in half an hour. You can launch about chatbot in half an hour, but it's not going to be strategic. So I think people should understand and getting in mind that it's a huge work, for example, just for chatbot. As the same as artificial intelligence, it's just a huge change that you have just to do. So again, technology is not the end. Emotion and engagement is the goal, and technology is not e-commerce. It's a means. It's not the goal. It's very important.
So regarding the usage of mobile, for example, the usage of new technology as chatbots, voice, etc., is still relevant to differentiate between e-commerce and classical retail, when user experience is involved. The fact that I use, for example, my mobile to go to the stores and perhaps to continue my user experience at home thanks to my mobile or my tablet, do you think that in terms of strategy, you told about image, brand content, things like that, is still relevant to have a differentiation between brick and mortar and it's a whole word, sorry, between the on and offline? What do you think about that?
It's all about being relevant, and to me, the interesting piece of all of this is about data. And we've got this situation where the data laws are changing, and the European Commission, as ever, is getting all excited about looking after consumers' interests and data, quite rightly, in principle. But it's getting that balance where permissive data is given by the customer to a business to help it and the business provide a better service. And we're just getting into that. Like, as my colleague's saying, it's early days, but getting smart with that stuff really is the key to the cross-channel, the multi-channel piece.
Okay. And yes?
From my perspective, I think it's time to stop that separating offline and online. A customer always wants to have the best experience, if it's mobile, if it's on the web, if it's offline, and the strategy should be deliver the best service, deliver it with passion, with a good feeling, and then customers will buy for the first time and they will stay as a loyal client.
To me, the answer is that no, you should not differentiate and you should not separate. The reality is when you're working for big retailers, especially, for example, in France, the organization is not ready to put the client, the customer at the center, and to positionate the brand as a global service. Your brand should become just a service. IT sometimes you have the .com, which is not with the shops. It's separate. First problem. The teams are also sometimes separate. They are not mature enough on digital or phygital, as we call it. So of course you have fragments. Everything is very fragmented. So that's the goal. I think we can all agree on that. But you have what we call digital transformation, but it's getting very, very deep when you have the customer obsession of satisfaction and retention. That should be your goal when you wake up in the morning. But the organization, when you're a big retailer, can work against you. So you have to put all your bricks, data, technology, organization, people. You should have everything that in place to be able to deliver that good service and that good customer experience. And that work is not easy. So that's why maybe customer experience is not perfect currently, because everything wants to deliver a good service. So my aim is just to say that you should work very deep on your organization. Again, organization, don't forget, it's not just about technology. Yes, it's about customer at the center, but people, your teams, your talents.
Technology is only a tool.
Yeah, talents should work on that customer experience. So you should have employee advocacy also for so many things that you should do to have a good customer experience.
One bit of evidence of just how customers' expectations are rising all the time. You know, we do a big customer survey every year, and general satisfaction with delivery is absolutely steady, has been for years. And yet, more and more people want, for example, later and later delivery. More than a third of the consumers surveyed wanted to be able to order between 10 and midnight and still get next day delivery. I mean, this is the kind of expectation that is being set out there.
And Eva, what is the situation in Germany?
I wanted to stick up to what Stephan said. So it's we think it's really a seamless commerce. So you just have to be able to be there in all kind of channels. So, and I think that's actually there already. So you can, for example, you can order online and pick up the things you bought in the shop, for example, and you have to be there and just for the consumer in every kind of channel, I think.
Okay, we told about emotion and video, for example. It's an important tool more and more, perhaps in the e-commerce as well, because it's a fact on the media area, for example, that your usage of video is very important. It's a key point of the engaging, sort of engaging content. So engaging content such as videos are more and more appreciated by user. Is it easy to deploy this kind of feature? Because frankly, as a user, I don't see a lot of video explanation to use a product or to valorize a product, I don't know.
I think people expect video now. It's just part of the toolkit, but you have to do it well. There seems to be a trend for longer videos and getting film stars in and making it really high quality. It can be very difficult to understand the value that you're getting from these investments, though. Like social, retailers are spending a lot of money on social, so they must feel that they're getting something out of it. But when we drill into specifically what they're getting out of it, a lot of the retailers can't give you any concrete data yet.
Okay.
That's the thing. Of course, we would like all, I guess, to have videos and engage more with our customers. But the reality that produced videos is way more expensive than images, for instance. So the ROI that you have in that at Bazarchic has not been proved that is better. So video online is a huge trend, that's no denying. But to answer the question properly, to me it's too expensive again to do it on a daily basis. Because for example, if I take the Bazarchic model, we do flash sales on a daily basis. Okay. So if we have to do videos for every sales that we put online every day, all year, imagine what what the impact is on your structural costs. Maybe it will be more engaged, but will it do more sales?
Perhaps it's a way to create a new business line, to use video only for advertising.
We've already have a studio, inside studio at Bazarchic that we do 700 pictures a day. So we have already that kind of content, brand content that we are creating, but we do not. We're not yet as a step as video should be just the minimum or should be just on a daily industrial. So to me, it's being experiential, but not industrial, because you have to justify ROI on that. So to me, it's something that's always a dichotomy between what the customer expects and what the company can create properly. And again, don't forget that when we talk about e-commerce, only 2% of your customer buy, so that means that a lot of percentage don't buy. So maybe video can help that. But before, so that's my advice. You have so many other tactics and strategy to be implemented first to improve customer or user experience on your website, mobile application, and everything. Cross-device is a huge deal, and data. So that's something that is not my strategy, my first objective. But yes, people are consulting more and more videos. But just for a brand to position itself properly within the video is not quite easy to me. So that's something about values and, again, your brand, how to put it in a video. It's not that easy.
And Stephan?
I want to point out to a statistic that Kickstarter released last year. They compared how the fundings went on, whether a project had a good made and high quality video, or if they just did a footage shot by a smartphone and nobody cared about. It's the chance of being funded was 5 times higher if you do a professional video. I'm completely with you. If you have a changing product scale on day by day, it can't be done. But if you are a producing company with a good brand and it needs to be done in video, it needs to be told, your story of the product, the story of the brand needs to be told, and I think video is a perfect branding tool.
Yeah.
So actually, I think as well that the idea of a video is really good because it can even help to reduce the amount of withdrawals, because so the consumer gets an idea about what the product is really like, and he can really just see everything about it, and then he can better decide if he really wants to buy it or not. So in so far, it's really a good idea, but again, I agree. It's
just on a daily basis. That is not that easy, but yes, it will reduce the returns and everything. So it's going to be maybe a 3D will be better, so people will buy maybe more. But so expensive at this time. So maybe in 2 or 3 years, it's going to be just so easy and industrialized that it's going to be easy and just the norm. But currently, to me, it's not again. So it's not a myth, it's a need, but it's not easy to achieve it.
Okay. After video, let's talk about social networks. As I indicated in my introduction, the first inspiration for the end user, to buy a product is social network. So social network is now a pillar of the digital experience. Is it a strategic tool as means of promotion for the e-commerce world? If yes, do you have some examples?
Well, I had a discussion about that and yesterday, and actually I think that in Germany it's not really that common. I think marketing on social platform is not really that common in Germany. So, for example, the Twitter buy button, for example, it doesn't work in Germany.
Okay.
Somehow they're not interested in that. So when German people are in social medias, they just want to communicate with their persons, with their friends, and they don't want to communicate with shops, for example.
Okay.
So it's not really that popular, at least for commercial and for marketing. But it works for customer services. So that's actually a point where German people really like social media, and they like, for example, to use WhatsApp to communicate with companies. So when they have problems with the product, for example, that works. But marketing and commercial on social media, it doesn't really work in Germany.
unfortunately, Austria is quite similar to Germany.
Yes.
But there's a bit of but behind the sentence. It's evolving very, very fast. As we have a big tourism industry in Austria, we see that a lot of chat services, they get more and more important. I also had a discussion yesterday on WeChat. From my perspective, for the tourism industry, it must be the focus to have a solution for WeChat up and running, at least for this winter season, would be fine, because it's getting more and more popular. And we see social media targeting. We all love the lookalike audiences in Facebook. It's working very well. You get good value for your money, and these things will evolve in the next years, also in Austria.
Yeah, well, maybe it will become popular in Germany if somehow the marketing is better for that.
And what's about UK?
Well, retailers are spending a lot of money on social, so they obviously think they're getting something out of it. I think it's very sector specific. It depends very much what you're selling and your audience and all that kind of stuff. But to me, the whole thing is pretty flaky still. Getting a sound commercial base for investment in it is tough. It's just elusive at the moment. Maybe it's just early days.
Okay, and
my perspective on that is that you have to take the codes of social media, how it's happening, for instance, in Facebook, and apply it, and by adjusting it on your own platform. What I mean by that, to do C2C, so you have social commerce that you can do within your website. So the chat, for example, that is something that is very effective. You can do customer scoring by for example, as a Tinder, if you want to swipe the product. So you have to take the codes. You should take the codes, apply it, and adjust it to your business model, to your product, to your company. But just trying as a brand to just sell your products and being the feet in the lives of people is just not the right thing to do. So yes, Facebook, for example, is very effective for mobile because there's so many people doing on mobile. So it's very effective on an advertising perspective for downloading applications, for example. That's a huge provider, so that's very effective. That's an example. But so my aim is just adapt again the codes, the trends to your ecosystem, and that's going to be successful. But that's a lot of work.
Madame, Messieurs, merci. This is the end. So thank you for your participation.
Merci.
Thank you.
And for your message. Thank you.